Hello and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Chisom. I am a fashion designer and a fashion tutor. On this channel, I share sewing tutorial videos and fashion related contents. Today, we are going to be learning how to make this beautiful dress that you can see me putting on. Yes, this dress, we'll be making it from start to finish. If this looks like something you'll be interested in learning, keep on watching and better be sure I shared every detail that was involved in the making of this dress. So sit back and let's get started. Okay, so for those who would want to know, this dress was made with a combination of silk fabric and Ankara fabric. So here I have this leftover Ankara is about 3 yards and this silk about 1.5 yards. Okay, now what I have done here is I have folded my fabric into two for the cutting of the front part, okay, the upper front part. Now I went ahead to iron gum stay to the silk to make it a little bit stable. Okay, so that is all I have done here. So I have folded my fabric into two. We are going to be cutting the front part of the upper part first. Now the volume of fabric should be enough to accommodate your bust. Divide by 4 plus about extra 5 inches allowance just in case. Okay, now I'll go ahead and mark my shoulder to armhole line. Now to get the armhole, what I do is I divide the bust by 6 plus 1.5 plus 1 inch. That is how to get your armhole length. Now I have marked my shoulder to armhole length. I'll mark shoulder to bust point and shoulder to under bust right here, shoulder to under bust, and then I'll mark my half length plus joining allowance. This is the center front, as you can see is on fold. Okay, so I'll measure my shoulder divide by 2 plus half inch sewing allowance because we'll be adding all the allowance on this fabric directly. So shoulder divide by 2 plus half inch sewing allowance is what I marked there. Now for the front part, I'll come down by 1 inch and then come in from the center front by 3 inches and connect the 1 inch to that 3 inches point. Next, I'm going to get the midpoint of this armhole line and go in by 0.75 inches and then cover out my armhole. So what I'm going to do next is on the bust point here, I will impute my nipple to nipple divide by 2 and I'll add half inch to that. So I'll mark it on the bust point and also on the waistline here, and I'll rule the line straight. Now to take my dart on the waistline, I'll take 0.75 inches on both sides. 0.75 here, 0.75 here. Now on the under bust as well, I will take 0.75, 0.75. So I'll connect straight from the waist to the under bust like so, and then from the under bust to the bust point, I'll connect with a curve. Next, I'm going to take the nipple points to the mid armhole line. So I'll place my curve to touch the nipple points and also the mid armhole line. After connecting the nipple point to the mid armhole line, on this mid armhole line, I'll come down by 1.5 inches and I'll reconnect it back to the nipple point. Now when connecting from these points to this point, I'll make sure I extend the line on the armhole like you can see me, because on this line is where we'll be replacing this dart. Now on this line I extended, I'll take the 1.5 inches and then recurve my armhole. I hope you can see what I am doing here. This is okay. Now I'm going to impute my body measurement. On the chest line, I'll mark my bust divide by 4, which is 9.5. I'll replace this dash that's cut across here. I think it's 0.25. I'll replace it, and then I'll add my sewing allowance. Sewing allowance I am using is 1.5 inches. Then on the waistline, I'll measure my on the waistline I will impute the waist divide by 4 right here. I'll replace this that I have here, which is 1.5 inches, and then add my sewing allowance. I'll connect it now. I'll connect from the waist to the chest line. For the width of the neckline, I'll use 5.5 inches. For the depth, I will use 7 inches. So for the width, I use 5.5. For the depth, I use 7 inches. Now, okay, so the next thing I'm going to be doing is to reduce the side of this front pattern. To do that, I will go up by 2 inches from the side here. I'll go up by 2 inches. And then I'll connect it back to this dart leg. So that is all for the front pattern. I'll go ahead and cut it out now. So for the back, I'll mark the center back line here. So this is the center back. Now I'll go ahead and mark my armhole length and the back waist length. Now, like I always do, from this center back waistline, I'll come in by 1 inch and I'll roll it to the top. Now I'll go ahead and mark my shoulder divide by 2 plus ½ inch sewing allowance on the shoulder line and also on this chest line. I'll roll it straight. I'll slant the shoulder by 1 inch. I'll come in from the center here by 3 inches. Connect this point to this point. From this line, from this slanted line here, I'll measure my bust divide by 4 plus sewing allowance. I'll get the midpoint of this armhole line and curve out the armhole. Though the back is not going to be as deep as the back armhole is not going to be as deep as the front one. Now on the waistline, I'll take my waist divide by 4 plus dart allowance and sewing allowance. I'll connect the waist to the chest line. Now for the dart, from this straight line, from this initial straight line, that's where I'm taking the dart. I'll measure the distance, my nipple to nipple distance, divide by 4, and also measure it on the chest line. Now note that the dart is going to stop 1 inch below this chest line. So on the waist, I'll take ½ inch here, ½ inch here. I'll connect to this 1 inch before the chest line. So now you can choose to leave this back like this or do it armhole as well. So I'm going to also take from this point to the mid armhole. This for this one I'll not be using a curve, I'll just use my free hand and do it. Now notice I extended it. I'm going to come out by 1/2 inch only, just to avoid any shortage, and I'll reconnect it to the armhole. Okay, now I'll take the neckline I'll use for this is the same 5.5 inches width I use for the front is what I'll use for the back. For the depth I'll use 1 inch and I'll connect it. So we are done with the back. So for the skirt part, I'm gonna head to draft a basic skirt block, a basic front skirt block. Okay, so now this skirt I drafted it with the pattern on fold. I placed the pattern on fold and I went ahead to mark out the skirt. Now I am going to cut it out on fold. Okay, the two parts like so. Okay, so now I'm going to cut it out and then I'll use it and cut on my lining first before I go ahead and trace out the front design. Okay, so I have cut it out on the lining part. I'll take it aside now. Now I'll open up the pattern. So now I'm going to draw the style line. To do that, I'm going to come down by on the left hand side, on the left part of the skirt. I'm going to come down, and I'll not forget that I added 1.5 inches sewing allowance. So I'm going to mark out that 1.5 inches sewing allowance so I'll know exactly what I am doing. 1.5 inches is here. So on this part I'll come down from the top. I'll come down by 5.5 because I'll be joining the upper part with 1/2 inch. That's why I'm coming down by 5.5 because I want it to stay at 5 inches. So on this point I'll also mark the 1.5 inches on this other side as well, so I'll know that, so I'll know what I'm doing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is to come down on this other side by 1/2 inch, simply because I'll be joining the upper part with 1/2 inch as well. Okay, so I'll place the ruler on that 1/2 inch and this 5.5 inches that I have here and rule it. Okay, so this part now is going to be the plain fabric, that's the silk fabric. Okay, now we'll extend it here. Okay, so that is all for the front skirt part. I'm going to cut it out. So this side is going to be cut. I'm going to be cutting this part on the plain fabric and cutting this big part on the Ankara. So right now I have added gum stay to the pieces, both the lining and the main fabric. So all the pieces here I have for lining and the main fabric right here. Okay, so these are the front pieces and these are the back pieces. Now I'll go ahead and join the front parts together. I'll place them right side by right side like so. I'll join this like this and sew from top to bottom, and also face this one like so and sew from top to bottom. After I'm done joining the main fabric, I'll join the lining pieces as well and also the back pieces. Okay, so this is the back pieces. I also have 2 for lining and 2 for the main fabric. I use the same fabric, so you can go ahead and use whatever lining you want for yours. That is why I also added tissue paper to it to give it a bit of stability. So I'll join this part to this part for the back side, and also join, now this is the center back side. Okay, so I'll join this part to this part like this, flip it like so, and also get the one that matches with this side, join it, and then after joining for the main fabric, I'll go ahead and join for the lining pieces. I have joined the pieces together. Okay, these are the back two pieces. Of course, the back is open because there's going to be zipper at the center back area. Okay, and this is the front part. I also went ahead to iron it in place. I did this for both the lining and the fabric. Okay, so now I'll get the skirt part. I'll take away this pattern first. This is the upper part, which I also went ahead to cut on plain fabric, as you can see right here. So it's supposed to stay at the top like this. Take out the pin. So I'm going to join the plain to the Ankara by 1/2 inch from here to here. I will join it and then flip it upwards to give it a good press so you'll be able to relax well. After joining the plain part to the Ankara part, I will now go ahead and join the upper part to the skirt. Okay, I'll join the top part to the skirt part. So I've joined the upper part to the skirt. This is the back side, this is the front side. You can see I also ironed it down. So I'm going to go ahead and join them side by side, match the side of the front part to the back part, and join them on the shoulder and also on the side, just the same way I have done for the lining piece. This is the lining piece right here. So I'm going to join them side by side, shoulder and side, and I'll be right back. Right now I have joined the side of the front to the side of the back, and this is what I have. I also joined the shoulders together. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is to measure around the neck circumference. I'll measure from one center back to the other. This is to get the figure that I'll be using to cut the circle part, the circle that is on the neckline. Okay, so I'm going to measure from one center back, round it like I am doing now, to this other center back, and after measuring, what I have is 34 inches. Now to cut the circle, we are going to be cutting 720 degree. Like, I have a video for 720 degree circle on this page, but I'll still take you guys through on this one. Now to get 720 degree peplum, 720 is 360 times 2. Okay, now to get the radius for the 720, we are going to be dividing the 34 inches into 2. That is, we'll be using half of the 34 inches, which is 17 inches, to get the radius for one circle, and use the other 17 inches to get the radius for another circle. Now this is what I mean. Now this is my fabric. Okay, I'll fold the fabric into 2. Yeah, I'll fold again into 2, making 4 folds. Now if we were going to cut 360 degree, we would have just these 4 folds. Okay, but because we are going to be making it 720, we will fold this 4 into 2 again, making 8 folds. Okay, if you count the number of fabric here, you realize it is 8. So to get the radius for 720 degree, you will use half of the circumference of the parts that you will be attaching the peplum. Like I measured 34 inches. Okay, I'm going to be dividing the 34 inches into 2. Like I'll divide it by 2. That will give me 17 inches. Now I will use that 17 inches to get the radius for the 720 degree. Okay, so I'll divide 17 inches by 6.28, and that gave me 2.75. If I add the 2.7 to the length of my peplum, the total length of the peplum, including hemming allowance and hemming and joining allowance, is 7 inches. Okay, so I'll add the 7 inches to the radius. Okay, I'll add the 7 inches to the length of the radius. I don't even getting me. So I'll add the 7 inches to the length of the radius, which will give me 9.75. Okay, it will give me 9.75. So that is the length I used to cut out this square that I have here. From here to here I have 9.75. 9.7. So I'll first of all I'll measure the radius from the tip here. I'll measure 2.7 round like this. 2.7. I'll curve it out, and then I'll measure the length of the peplum, which is 7 inches. So I'll take the tape upwards from the beginning and touch this 7 inches mark, and I have 9.75. okay, so I'll take it round to get 9.75, making sure the tape is placed on this angle here. 9.75. 9.75. So note that when I cut this out, I will have 2 full circles. Okay, so I'm going to cut it out now. So I've cut it out now. I'll open it up. So this is it. You can see that I have 2 full circles. So I'm going to slit the circles open. I'll slit it open, so I'll join it together to become one. So you can see that it has a more wavy effect. Okay, so this is it. So this is to be attached round the neck region. I'll go ahead and iron hairstay to it, and I'll be right back. So right now I have ironed the interfacing on the circles. I also went ahead to cut out the lining parts, and I added the interfacing to it as well because I want it to really be firm. So what I'm going to do next is to use the lining to turn the main fabric. So I'll place the lining on the right side of the fabric like this, and I'm going to use this crinoline to attach on the edge, round it from the beginning to the end. I'll also be sewing along with this hemming gum. This hemming gum is going to help the crinoline to relax on the fabric by the time I'm done, ironing it properly. Okay, so I'll go ahead and sew the 4 of them together: the fabric, the lining, the crinoline, and the hemming gum. I'll make sure the crinoline is on the lining part, okay, with the hemming gum as well. So I'll go ahead and sew from one end round to the other end. So guys, I have attached the crinoline to it and also ironed it properly, so you can see how relaxed and it is and how wavy the crinoline effect is on the peplum. This was actually the effect that I hoped to achieve, and I achieved it. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and sew this peplum around the neckline of the dress. I'll place it right side like this, on the right side of the dress like so, and I'm going to sew from one center back, round it through to the other side of the center back. Then after I'm done attaching the peplum to the neckline, I'll go ahead and fix my zipper. So guys, I have attached the peplum to the neckline of the dress. As you can see, I also went ahead to install the zipper at the center back. What I want you to know about this is I actually cut another 720-degree peplum and added to the first one I cut, because by I joined the 720, it was not wavy and floating the way I wanted it. So I actually added extra 720-degree peplum to the one I cut that I showed you guys. I didn't like the way it was scanty before, so I had to add extra 720-degree peplum to give it this much volume. So if you don't like this much volume, you can go ahead and attach only 720-degree. But if you want this much volume, just know that this is 360 peplum into 4. Okay, so times 4 rather, not into 4. 360 times 4, 720, 720. You can do the maths. Okay, so I also, after attaching the peplum on the neckline, I went ahead to turn the neckline with the lining. So the lining is inside actually. Before I finish this up with the lining, I will attach the sleeve. And with me here, I have a basic long sleeve that I have cut out. So this is the basic long sleeve that I cut out here. Okay, and I also cut out half circle with this Ankara, these two half circle, and I turned it with lining and added interfacing to it inside. So what I'm going to do is to open up the sleeve. So this is the sleeve. I have opened it up. Okay, so I'll go up by 6 inches because I'll be folding the down part as well. So on this 6 inches mark is where I will sew this half circle. I'll make sure it stays on the middle. Now here on this place I have 12 inches, half of it is 6 inches. So this is the middle of this sleeve. I will also fold this sleeve and get the midpoint. It's not hard anyway, I'm just trying to show you how to do it more accurately. So I'll place the middle point of the Ankara on the middle point of the silk. That way I will know that I am getting equal. So I'll just split it little. So I'll just split it a little and then stitch and then put it down like this. So I'll do this for the both sleeves and then attach the sleeve. Then after I'm done attaching the sleeve, I'll go ahead and finish the dress with the lining. There is really nothing else left aside attaching the sleeve and finishing the hemline with the lining. Okay, so guys, we have come to the end of this tutorial. I want to believe you found one or two things helpful in this video. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. If this video was helpful to you, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel if you're yet to. And if you have any question, please drop them in the comment section and I'll attend to them. I'll see you again in my next video. Bye.